Have you ever noticed that the harder you chase after something, the further it seems to slip away? You pour in effort, try every possible method, even sacrifice your sleep. Yet the thing you long for most remains just out of reach. Sometimes the problem isn't that you're not doing enough, it's that you might be doing too much. Perhaps the universe is already arranging to give you what you truly deserve. But your restless, anxious energy is actually pushing it away. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a quiet yet profound truth. Life's greatest gifts don't always go to those who fight the hardest, but to those who know how to pause, listen, and let go. Stillness is not weakness. It's the language the universe uses to communicate with us. It's the difference between clinging tightly out of fear and opening your hands to welcome what is already yours. Today I want to share with you 11 life-changing lessons, from the power of letting go to the beauty of divine timing, each revealing how to stop forcing life and start flowing with it. And if you stay until the very end, you'll discover a rare piece of wisdom that might change the way you move through the world forever. So take a deep breath, release the rush, and let's begin. Lesson 1. Stillness opens the door for life to enter. In a world that worships speed and constant motion, being still can feel strange, even uncomfortable. We wake up with our phones in hand, race through the day juggling endless tasks, and go to bed with our minds still running marathons. We've been taught that movement equals progress. But here's the truth: sometimes the very thing you're chasing has been right at your doorstep all along. You just couldn't hear its gentle knock through all the noise. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that the answers, opportunities, and even the peace we seek often arrive quietly, like a whisper. Imagine trying to see your reflection in a pond while someone keeps throwing stones into the water. The ripples distort everything, and no matter how hard you stare, the image never comes into focus. That's exactly what happens when your mind is full of chaos, fear, and what-if scenarios. But the moment the water becomes still, the reflection appears naturally. Life works the same way. Peace, like a feather landing on the surface of a calm lake, can only rest where there is quiet. When your mind is overflowing with urgency, imagined deadlines, and constant worry, there's simply no space left to notice the gifts that are already trying to find you. Sometimes what you've been searching for is already within arm's reach, yet you don't see it. You're so fixated on chasing the next thing, sprinting toward the next milestone, that you overlook the blessing quietly sitting right beside you. The truth is, the universe isn't ignoring you. It's simply waiting for you to slow down enough to truly receive. Imagine holding a cup already filled to the brim. No matter how much more is poured in, nothing new can stay. It just spills over and is lost. Your inner world works the same way. If your mind is overflowing with worry, tangled in overthinking, or obsessed with controlling every outcome, there's no room left for what you've been asking for to actually land. And often what we label as bad timing is not misfortune at all. It's life patiently waiting for us to clear space inside ourselves. Here's a question worth sitting with. What am I too full of to welcome what I've been asking for? It might be fear. It might be the pressure to keep up with someone else's pace. It might even be the belief that every blessing must be painfully earned through struggle. Whatever it is, notice it. Naming it is the first step to loosening its grip. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means creating the perfect space for the right things to enter. It's a deep trust that you don't have to micromanage the universe for it to work in your favor. When you quiet the noise inside, you don't lose speed, you gain vision. And vision, unlike frantic motion, always knows the most direct path forward. So just for a moment, take a breath. Let go of the urgency. Clear the mental clutter. Allow the waters within you to grow still. In that stillness, you may realize something extraordinary. The life you've been chasing might already be closer than you've ever imagined, waiting quietly for you to finally notice. Lesson 2. Desperation pushes blessings away. We've all felt it, that tight knot in the chest, when we want something so badly we're terrified of losing it before we even hold it in our hands. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's the dream job. Maybe it's an opportunity that feels like it could change everything. At first, that desire is thrilling, full of hope, promise, and possibility. But if we're not careful, excitement can quietly shape-shift into fear. And when fear takes the wheel, everything changes. We start clinging too tightly, trying to control every twist and turn, overanalyzing every detail, desperate to avoid failure. But here's the paradox. The tighter you hold on, the faster what you want slips through your fingers. It's like trying to hold water with clenched fists. The harder you squeeze, the more it escapes. You might believe that by holding on tightly, you're protecting what matters most, but in truth, you may be slowly pushing it away. The universe, much like water, moves toward openness, not toward tension. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that the energy we carry speaks far louder than our words. Desperation might appear to others as intense passion, but beneath the surface, it sends out a very different signal, one of scarcity. It's like whispering to the universe, "I don't believe I can have this unless I cling to it with everything I have." But the universe doesn't respond to panic. It responds to presence, to trust, to that quiet, grounded knowing that what is truly yours can never be taken away. Think about it. When your hands are tightly clenched, nothing new can enter them. But when your palms are open, you are ready to receive. Letting go isn't the same as giving up. It's trusting that if something is meant for you, it will find its way to you. And if it slips away, it was never meant to be yours forever. This isn't wishful thinking. It's living in alignment with the natural rhythm of life. The law that what belongs to you will always return in the right way at the right moment. A monk once put it beautifully, you cannot make a flower bloom faster by tugging on its petals. You will only damage it. The same is true for everything you love or desire. You can nurture it, protect it, and create the right environment for it to grow. But the instant you try to force its pace, you interrupt its natural unfolding. That's what desperation does. It takes something pure and crushes it under the weight of fear. So ask yourself, where in my life am I holding on too tightly? And what if just for today, you loosened your grip, not because you've stopped caring, but because you've decided to trust that what's truly meant for you already carries your name. Nothing can erase that. When you replace desperation with faith, your entire energy shifts. You become lighter. And in that lightness, you create space for life to deliver what's yours. Blessings don't flow to clenched fists, they flow to open hands and an open heart. Remember that, and you'll see how easily life begins to give. Lesson 3. Silence often means rearrangement. There's a strange phase in life when everything seems to go quiet. The phone stops ringing. Opportunities seem to vanish. Even the spark that once filled you with excitement starts to fade into a calm, unsettling stillness. And if you're like most people, your first instinct is to worry, to think something has gone wrong. Your first reaction when life grows quiet might be to think something must be wrong. But what if nothing is wrong at all? What if this silence isn't an ending, but one of the most important phases of your journey? Buddhist wisdom reminds us, silence doesn't mean there's no movement. More often, it's the sign that the universe is working in ways you simply can't see yet. It's like the unseen work happening backstage before the grand performance. The theater is dark, the stage is empty. But behind the curtain, every prop is being set. Every actor is taking their place. Every light is being adjusted so that when the show begins, it unfolds flawlessly. Think of a plant before it blooms. Before even a single leaf pierces the soil, the roots are quietly growing deep underground. You can't see them, but they are spreading, anchoring, and strengthening, preparing for the moment that the plant bursts into view. If you judged its progress only by what was visible above ground, you might think nothing was happening. But in truth, everything was happening just out of sight. Life operates in the same way. When things go quiet, it could mean people are shifting into the right places. Opportunities are slowly aligning in the background, and timing is being fine-tuned with precision. The trouble is, we often mistake this quiet for being stuck. We get restless. We panic. We try to push and force movement because stillness feels uncomfortable. But forcing too soon is like yanking a sprout out of the ground. Before its roots are ready, you interrupt its growth. In moments like these, the real question to ask yourself is, can I be at peace even when I see no visible progress? Can I trust that this silence is not empty, but alive with unseen movement? Here's the truth. The universe doesn't operate according to our rushed timelines. It moves with precision, not pressure. And often a delay isn't meant to hold you back. It's meant to make sure that when your moment arrives, you are strong enough, prepared enough, and aligned enough to step fully into it. So the next time life feels still, resist the temptation to fill it with noise. Breathe into it. Let it be. Because this stillness may be the final preparation before your next chapter bursts open. And when it does, you'll realize the roots were growing all along, deep, strong, and exactly where they needed to be. Lesson 4. Faith grows in the unseen. Faith is effortless when the path is lit and the way forward is clear. Faith is easy when the road is clear, when every sign points in the direction you've been hoping for, and life seems to be moving exactly the way you envisioned. But the true test of faith comes in the moments when everything is shrouded in darkness. When you can't even see the very next step, that's when faith has the greatest chance to grow. Buddhist wisdom teaches that just because you can't see movement doesn't mean there is none. A seed doesn't begin its life in the warmth of the sun. It begins buried deep underground in silence, in shadows hidden from the eye. It splits open in the dark, and only after this unseen transformation does it rise toward the light. The absence of visible change doesn't mean life is standing still. The challenge is that the human mind dislikes the unseen. It whispers, "What if nothing's happening? What if I've been forgotten?" That whisper can quickly grow into fear, restlessness, and doubt. But the universe doesn't measure progress by what's visible to you. It moves in harmony with deeper, unseen laws, many of which unfold quietly without your interference. The sun doesn't rise because you stare at the horizon and will it to appear. It rises because it was always meant to. So here's the real question. Can you trust the process when you have no proof? Can you believe something beautiful is taking shape for you, even when you can't yet see a single sign of it? The ego demands evidence. The soul understands timing. Faith is choosing to lean into that timing, even when every impatient part of you wants to rush ahead. I once heard the story of a monk who planted a seed and visited it every morning. Days passed, then weeks, nothing appeared. One day a traveler asked, "Why do you keep coming back?" "There's nothing growing here," the monk simply smiled and replied. "It is growing, just not where you can see it yet." Weeks later, a small green sprout finally broke through the soil. But it had been alive the whole time. Life works like that. Some blessings need time beneath the surface before they can meet you. Some chapters are being written long before you read them. And some changes are already in motion, not because you can see them, but because deep inside you've already aligned with them. So when the path is unclear, keep walking. When the night feels endless, trust that the dawn is coming. The unseen is not empty. It is the workshop of the universe, quietly building what you've been asking for. That is where your faith should live, not in what you can measure, but in what you believe. But in what you know deep in your bones is already taking shape. Lesson 5. Detachment unlocks true magnetism. We're raised believing that if we truly want something, we must hold it tightly. Protect it at all costs. Guard it from every threat. Never let it slip away. But the more life you experience, the more you discover a surprising truth. Often the tighter you grip, the faster things seem to fade. In Buddhist wisdom, this isn't just a poetic metaphor. It's considered a law of the heart. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean abandoning your dreams or walking away from the people you love. Instead, it means choosing presence over possession. It means trusting instead of tensing. When you release the need for something to unfold exactly according to your script, you set it free. And in doing so, you set yourself free. And paradoxically, that's when the things truly meant for you have the greatest chance to remain. I once heard the story of a monk who discovered a beautiful jade cup floating in a stream. He carried it home, admiring its delicate beauty, and placed it carefully beside his bed. But soon every sound in the night filled him with dread. A gust of wind, a creak in the floor. What if the cup broke? What if he lost it? The cup had stopped being a joy and had become a source of constant fear. One morning, the monk carried it back to the stream. He set it gently on the water and watched it drift away. "It is mine," he whispered softly, "only when I no longer need to keep it." That is detachment, and it's the source of true magnetism. Because when you stop clinging, you stop broadcasting the anxious energy that says, "I'm afraid to lose this." Instead, you radiate something infinitely more attractive, "I am whole with or without it." That energy is magnetic. It draws in what's meant for you effortlessly, without force, like a quiet flame that naturally pulls every moth in the night sky toward its glow. Think about it: when you're desperate for something, you create tension around it. You overanalyze, you second-guess, you smother it under the weight of your need. But when you let go, truly let go, you invite it to stay. Not because it must, but because it chooses to. You push too hard, thinking that pressure will make something stay. But when you release your grip, you give it space to breathe. You create a calm, open field, a safe landing place, where blessings feel welcome to arrive. What's meant for you begins to notice you, not because you chased after it, but because your peace has become a home it naturally wants to return to. Try this. Close your eyes. Picture all the things you've been holding on to with clenched fists: the goals, the relationships, the outcomes you've been trying to control. Now imagine placing them gently in the palm of your open hand. Feel the relief in your chest as your fingers loosen. Watch them drift away like glowing lanterns into a dark, starry sky. You haven't lost them. You've simply set them free, allowing them to return in their most beautiful form. Detachment is not weakness. It is the quiet, unshakable confidence that you are enough no matter what comes and no matter what goes. And when you live from that place, life often surprises you. Not with everything you thought you wanted, but with everything your soul was truly calling for all along. Lesson 6. Surrender as strength. From childhood, we're taught that strength means never stopping. Push harder, try longer, refuse to quit until you get what you want. And yes, persistence can be a powerful ally. But there comes a moment in every journey when the path stops responding to force. You push, but nothing moves. You plan, but every door stays closed. And instead of moving forward, you find yourself sinking deeper into frustration. In Buddhist wisdom, this is the moment to stop fighting. Not because you've lost, but because you're ready to align with a rhythm greater than your own. Surrender isn't waving a white flag. It's placing your trust in the current, believing that it knows where it's going, even when you don't. This is strength in its most graceful form. Imagine a river winding its way around a mountain. The water doesn't slam into the rock demanding it move. It curves gently, persistently, carving a path over time, not with resistance but with flow. And before long, the water reaches the ocean, long before the rock even realizes it's been moved. That's the quiet, unstoppable power of surrender. It gets you where you're meant to be, without draining the life out of you in the process. A teacher once put it this way: you know it's time to let go when trying turns into struggling, and struggling turns into suffering. That's the invisible line we all cross without noticing, until we finally realize that letting go was the stronger choice all along. We often mistake holding on for strength, but in truth, real strength is knowing when to release. Some doors aren't meant to be forced open. They're meant to open effortlessly when the timing is right. Surrender is not passivity. It is the deepest form of participation with life. It's saying, I will do my part, but I will also trust the parts that are not mine to control. When you let go, you stop shouting at the river to change its course, and you start listening to where it's already flowing. That's when you begin to notice the subtle hints, the quiet nudges, the signs that were always there, but drowned out by the noise of your own resistance. Ask yourself, where in your life are you still swimming upstream? Which dream, relationship, or situation have you been holding on to so tightly that it's turned from joy into struggle? What would happen if instead of gripping harder, you allowed it to simply be? Letting go can feel like stepping off a cliff, terrifying, uncertain. But here's the truth. You're not falling into emptiness. You're being carried. Like a leaf drifting on the surface of a stream, you may not know exactly where the water will take you. But you can trust that the current will lead you exactly where you're meant to go. So today, give yourself permission to stop battling the currents that drain your energy. Set down the burden of needing to predict every outcome. Let the tide carry you for a while, because sometimes the very thing you've been chasing is already on its way. But it can only meet you when you stop resisting the path it's taking to reach you. Surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. And once you learn to bow to life's flow instead of fighting it, you'll realize the river has been carrying you toward everything you've ever deserved, all along. Lesson 7. Craving clouds clarity. There's a delicate line between desire and craving. Desire is a spark. It excites you, motivates you, gives you direction. But craving is when that spark turns into an uncontrollable wildfire. It doesn't just fuel you, it consumes you. When craving takes over, it burns through your peace, distorts your judgment, and sends you running after shadows. In Buddhist wisdom, craving doesn't pull you closer to what you want. It actually pushes it further away. Why? Because craving blinds you. It fills your vision so completely that you can't see the path ahead with any clarity. It's like trying to hike a mountain trail shrouded in thick fog. The more you strain your eyes to see, the less you can make out. You keep moving forward, but every step feels uncertain. The harder you try to force your way ahead, the thicker the fog seems to grow around you. I once heard a monk explain this with a simple image. He poured tea into a cup until it overflowed, spilling onto the table. This, he said, is your mind when it's full of craving. There is no space for peace to enter because it's already overflowing with need. That's the danger of craving. It doesn't just occupy space in your mind, it warps everything you see. You stop noticing the opportunities already within your reach because you're consumed by the one thing you don't yet have. The truth is, craving doesn't grow from abundance, it grows from fear. And fear is loud. It drowns out intuition, it silences patience, and it drives you to grab at anything that resembles what you think you want, even if it's not truly right for you. When you're trapped in craving, you're not choosing from wisdom, you're reacting from urgency. So how do you clear the fog? First, pause. Take a breath deep enough to feel it expand in your chest. Then ask yourself, Is what I'm wanting right now helping me see more clearly? Or is it making everything blur? You may realize that the thing you're chasing so desperately isn't even what would bring you peace. It's just what you've convinced yourself might fill the gap. When you release craving, something shifts. Clarity comes back. The path ahead becomes visible again. You start to notice blessings you'd been blind to. And sometimes you even discover that what you truly needed was already here, hidden behind the fog of wanting. This doesn't mean you stop dreaming or working toward your goals. It means you loosen the suffocating grip of urgency. You replace the pressure to have it now with the quiet trust that it will come when the moment is right. Peace isn't found by finally collecting every single thing you desire. Peace is found when you no longer need everything to happen your way in order to feel whole. Let craving dissolve like morning mist under the rising sun. Let the path reveal itself again. And you may be surprised to find that the clarity you've been searching for wasn't out there at all. It was waiting for you in the stillness all along. Lesson 8. Calmness is the universe's language. If you've ever tried to hear someone whisper, in a crowded room, you know how impossible it feels. The noise swallows the words before they ever reach you. And yet this is how most of us move through life, surrounded by the constant chatter of our own thoughts, unable to hear the quiet guidance that's been with us all along. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the universe doesn't speak in shouts. It speaks in whispers. It doesn't force its way into your awareness. It waits patiently for the stillness that allows it to be heard. Calmness isn't about doing nothing. It's about creating the inner space where truth can be received clearly. Just as a lake only reflects the sky when its surface is still, your mind can only reflect the right path when it rests in peace. There's an old story of a man who would sit at the edge of a forest every day, calling out to the wind for direction. He begged for signs, demanded answers, and shouted his questions into the air. One afternoon, an old monk joined him. The monk sat silently. Minutes passed. The wind shifted the leaves, whispered, and a single white feather floated gently to the ground in front of them. The man asked, "Why does the universe answer you and not me?" The monk smiled and said, "Because I listen not to reply, but to receive." When we are desperate for answers, we tend to create more noise. We overthink. We rehearse conversations that haven't happened. We play out the worst possible scenarios before they even exist. But the universe doesn't respond to panic or chaos. It responds to the stillness of trust. Calmness sends a completely different message. I am ready to hear. I am ready to receive. Ask yourself, what noise am I carrying right now? Is it worry about the future? Resentment from the past? The need to have everything figured out before I allow myself to feel peace? Whatever it is, notice how it fills the space where guidance could live. The truth is, you don't have to chase answers. You have to make room for them. You don't need to shout to be heard. You only need to quiet yourself enough to listen. Calmness is not weakness. It is power in its gentlest form. It's the kind of energy that makes blessings feel safe to approach. So slow your breath. Release the tension in your shoulders. Let your mind settle like water clearing after a storm. In that stillness, you'll start to notice what you thought was missing. The chance encounters, the flashes of clarity, the soft nudges forward. They were never absent. They were simply waiting for you to quiet down enough to hear them. Here. Lesson 9. Energy arrives before results long before your dreams take physical shape, something else always shows up first, your energy. It's the invisible signal you send out into the world every single day, whether you realize it or not. And in Buddhist wisdom, this signal speaks far louder than any words, intentions, or plans. You don't attract what you say you want. You attract what you are. think about a tuning fork. It doesn't start vibrating just because you tell it to. It resonates when it meets a matching note. Life works in the exact same way. If you carry chaos, doubt, or fear within you, you'll find yourself surrounded by people, opportunities, and situations vibrating at that same frequency. But when you embody peace, trust, and grounded confidence, you create the perfect conditions for those same qualities to find their way to you. A student once asked a monk, "Why am I doing all the right things?" "Yet nothing seems to change," the monk replied, "because you are planting seeds with trembling hands. Your actions may be correct, but your energy is uncertain." It's a simple truth. The universe doesn't just respond to your effort, it mirrors your essence. Most people get it backwards. They wait for life to deliver peace before allowing themselves to feel peaceful. They wait for success before feeling worthy. They wait for love before allowing themselves to feel whole. But alignment works the opposite way. You feel it first, and then life aligns to match it. So here's the question to sit with. What is my energy inviting into my life right now? Do you radiate trust or tension? Are you already living the peace you say you want, or are you postponing it until external circumstances change? Try this each morning before the noise of the day floods in. Close your eyes and take a few slow breaths. Step into the version of yourself who already has the love, peace, or success you're seeking. Feel it fully, not as make-believe, but as practice. Carry that feeling with you throughout the day, not to fake it, but to align with it. Because when you hold that frequency consistently, something begins to shift, not years from now, but immediately. You start to notice opportunities that feel like a perfect fit. You make choices that are in harmony with your vision. And life responds not because you pleaded for it to change, but because you've become the match for what you've been asking for all along. Remember, results are just the echo. Energy is the voice. Send out the signal of the life you desire, and watch as it quietly begins making its way toward you, step by step, moment by moment, until one day you wake up and realize you're living what you once only dreamed. Lesson 10. Timing is sacred. We live in an age obsessed with speed, instant results, quick answers, overnight success stories. We've been trained to believe that if something takes too long, we must be falling behind. But life, in its quiet wisdom, doesn't bend to our deadlines. And in Buddhist teaching, timing isn't just a detail, it's sacred. Not every flower blooms in spring. Some open under the blazing heat of summer. Others wait for the gentle chill of autumn. They never force themselves to bloom before they're ready, and they're never late. They open in the exact moment nature intended. Your journey is no different. The trouble is, when we can't see visible progress, we panic. We glance sideways, watching others move ahead, and we whisper to ourselves, "Why not me? Am I missing my chance?" But a seed buried deep in the soil doesn't despair just because the plant next to it has already sprouted. It knows growth is happening in the dark. Roots are stretching deep. Strength is building quietly so that when it finally breaks the surface, it will stand tall, steady, and unshakable. I once heard a story about a young monk who asked his teacher, "Why is my progress so slow? I meditate, I practice, I serve, yet nothing seems to change." The master took him outside under the night sky and asked, "Where are the stars?" The monk looked around and frowned. "I can't see them." The master smiled and said, "Because it's not dark enough yet." That was the lesson. Some things can only be seen. Some wisdom can only be received when the moment is perfectly aligned. This is why patience is more than just waiting. Patience is trusting. Trusting that every delay is part of your preparation. Trusting that the universe is arranging not just the what, but also the when. Because the wrong timing can make even the right thing feel heavy, while the right timing makes it flow effortlessly. So instead of treating time as an enemy, Learn to see it as an ally. When life slows down, ask yourself, what is this moment preparing me for? What skills, insights, or inner strength am I meant to gather? Before the next chapter begins, the stars will appear when the sky is ready. The doors will open when the path is clear. And when the timing is right, you won't have to push, you'll simply step forward and everything will meet you there. And when that moment finally arrives, you'll realize the waiting was never a pause. It was a sacred rhythm, a perfect sequence of unseen steps carrying you exactly where you were meant to go. Lesson 11, what you deserve isn't given. It's recognized. We grow up believing that everything, love, respect, success, even our own worth must be earned. We push ourselves harder, achieve more, and strive endlessly to prove that we're deserving. But in Buddhist wisdom, what you truly deserve is not something life hands you like a trophy at the end of a competition. It's something the world recognizes the moment you align with your truest self. Think of a lighthouse. It doesn't race up and down the shore waving flags, begging passing ships to notice it. It doesn't shine brighter out of desperation or dim in fear of being overlooked. It simply stands tall, steady, unwavering, and lit. And because it shines without apology or insecurity, the ships find it naturally. That's how what's meant for you works. It's drawn to your light, not to your efforts to chase it down. The problem is, most of us spend so much time trying to be chosen that we forget to simply be. We wear masks to match the expectations of others. We chase goals designed to impress even when they leave us feeling empty. And when the things we desire don't arrive, we assume it's because we're not enough yet. But here's the truth. The universe will never send the right blessings to the wrong version of you. I once heard a monk ask a seeker, "In all your striving, have you ever paused just to be yourself?" The seeker looked confused and asked, "To be what?" The monk smiled gently and replied, "To be you. Not the version that performs, not the version that hides, the version that is whole even without anyone's applause." That is the space where true recognition begins. When you stand fully in your truth without bending to win approval, life shifts. You stop chasing and you start shining. You send out a signal that says, "This is who I am, and I'm ready to receive what belongs with me." And then the right people, opportunities, and moments start to appear. Not because you hunted them down, but because you became the version of yourself they were destined to meet. So ask yourself, am I trying to prove my worth, or am I living from it? Am I dimming my light to fit someone else's expectations, or am I letting it shine at full strength? Because when you stop trying to earn what was always yours, you stop blocking it. Stand like a lighthouse, steady, certain, and glowing. And watch how naturally what's meant for you finds its way home. Let what's meant for you find its way back to you, not to the version of you that's chasing, grasping, and trying to prove something, but to the version of you that remembers, "I am already enough." Bonus lesson: the universe responds to inner stillness, not outer struggle. In a world that celebrates hustle, we're taught that constant motion equals progress. If you're not doing more, pushing harder, moving faster, you must be falling behind. But in Buddhist wisdom, some of life's deepest shifts don't happen through force, they happen through stillness. Stillness doesn't mean the absence of action. It means the presence of alignment. You could take 100 rushed steps in the wrong direction and end up further from your destination. Or you could take one calm, intentional step from a place of clarity and find yourself closer than ever before. A teacher once compared it to a cup of tea. If the cup is already full, overflowing with worry, fear, and endless overthinking, there's no space for anything new to enter. Whatever you pour in will simply spill out. But if you empty the cup, if you quiet the noise inside, you create the perfect space for the universe to fill it with exactly what you need. Picture a garden at dawn. The air is still, the leaves barely stir. In that quiet, dew forms on the petals, and the first light of day gently touches the earth. Growth doesn't happen because something forced it. It happens because the conditions welcomed it. Your life is no different. When you are calm, grounded, and open, what is meant for you begins to grow naturally. Ask yourself, are my actions coming from trust or from fear? Am I moving because I feel inspired or because I'm afraid of being still? So often we mistake constant activity for real progress. But the truth is, we're just running in circles, too busy to see that some doors are already standing open, waiting for us to walk through. What's meant for you never has to be wrestled into existence. It needs to be welcomed. And welcoming is not passive, it is powerful. It's the quiet, steady confidence that the universe knows your name, your needs, and your timing. So loosen your grip. Stop forcing closed doors to open. Get ready to step through the ones that will open naturally. Shift your focus from proving to becoming. Because when your inner world is still, the signal you send out is unmistakable, and the universe always responds. Closing reflections. You've just walked through a series of powerful truths, reminders that life isn't about forcing, chasing, or proving. It's about creating enough space inside yourself for the right things to arrive. From stillness to trust. From letting go to recognizing your own worth. Each lesson is an invitation to stop living in fear of what you might lose and start living in harmony with what you're meant to receive. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, peace isn't something you stumble upon only after life works out perfectly. Peace is a choice you make now, before the answers arrive, before the timing feels ideal, before the entire path is visible. So ask yourself one last time, what am I too full of to welcome what I've been asking for? Then little by little, make space. Quiet the noise, loosen your grip, trust the timing, and stand in the unshakable knowing that what's meant for you can never miss you. It's already on its way. If this message resonated with you, take a deep breath and let it settle into your heart. And when you're ready, continue walking this path with me. Click the next video on your screen. It's filled with more timeless Buddhist wisdom to help you discover clarity, peace, and strength in everyday life. The more you surround yourself with these teachings, the more naturally they will become a part of you. And when that happens, you won't need to chase the life you desire. You'll simply become the person it's been seeking all along.